Can everybody please take their seats so we can see how many seats are open so we can let in some of the people that want to come in, please? Okay.
Hi, I have a question. I know we're not like asking questions yet, but they said I could sign up to talk, and then they said that we couldn't sign up to talk.
It might be.
They said they closed it to sign up.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
That'd be great.
From our esteemed president, right there.
Hi, they said we could sign up to talk?
Sure.
Okay. There was somebody else that wanted to sign up to talk out there.
Okay, come on back
That'd
up
be
to the
great.
side.
Thank you.
That's the right idea. When they start throwing rocks and bottles at us. Our Instagram says, well, they're anxious to change.
Weird part is normally this is a 10-minute thing.
Not tonight.
No.
I have my sleeping phone in the pillow.
Haven't said anything yet. We really haven't said anything.
Want me to go get two grapes?
I have lots of friends in here that could do it. I can't even see that. Hey, I left my glasses. Right there on the bar. Take the dog park and bring it to me. You got a drink order? I wish. Anybody got some readers?
Not with me.
Or a pizza?
No.
Could be a good idea, this could be a long night.
Well,
You know, Jordan.
I'm not gonna be reading for a while anyway. Yep.
I forgot my hearing.
That, that's a blessing there.
We got a treasurer with no title.
Yeah, that's like, yeah.
3 months, huh? Hear no evil, speak no evil. Sleep.
First little while, I just listening.
I want to turn on the TV outside. Is that possible? Yes.
I didn't know there was a rotator that you could get. What is it under? Is it under YouTube?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's one of the apps you can get.
It's one of the plus apps, so.
You can also get YouTube TV.
Okay, well,
They got about
on Roku,
Yes.
I'm having a battle with
And,
Bex Company.
who does it?
16 and 20. You might be able to-
Mike, who?
Yeah.
Well, since he-
Where's the public list?
The
So what, you just took it back to us lane.
Yeah, well, thank you. Check the bicep. Bye. Yeah, bye.
That was Brzezinski. Said we look good on TV.
That our shirts match.
Just waiting for Monique and then we'll get started.
Oh, you got it.
Well, I don't know.
Wow. I can read them. Jimmy's bringing them.
She's still
Or they
going.
won't even be.
Yeah, right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the October Cypresswood Community Association meeting to order, please.
Already started.
Roll, please, Mr. Secretary.
As I call the roll, please let me know who you are and what office you hold, please. Club patio,
Jim Hammond, Vice
Cypress Pond.
President.
Thank you. Cypress Pond,
Carter Platter, Vice President.
Eagle Pond,
John Woody, President.
Enclave,
Marvin Palmer, President.
Fairway Patio, Garden Patio,
Richard Luciu, President.
Golf Villas,
Gil Murphy, President.
Greenfield Village,
Greenfield Village, Steve Potter, Vice President.
Meadows,
Bill Shira, President.
Oak Grove,
Mike Howell, President.
Paulicia,
Linda Goodrich, President.
Plantations,
Rick McCalla, President.
Sand Hill Lane,
Mark Lutenauer, President.
Villas on the Green.
Jeanette Rain, acting president.
We have a quorum. Thank you very much. Next slide, please, Savannah. I need a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda, please. Mr. Hammond has made such a motion. Mr. Klutner is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I also need a motion to approve the minutes from the September regular business meeting, please. Mr. Shire has made such a motion. Do we have a second? Ms. Goodrich, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We're going to start with new business, please. Next slide, Savannah. This is about the 2021 assessment. This is, next slide, please, Savannah. This is the public commentary part of the meeting. This is the chance for the people that have pre-signed up for the meeting to speak to the board. You'll be required to come down, stand on the X, face the board. You can make your comments. You have 3 minutes to do so. Right, when you come up, please tell us your name and which neighborhood HOA. The first one is Ms. Kern. In this part of the meeting, Mr. Tucker will be taking the gavel.
Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank our president, Rick McCall, for painting and providing the paint out here that he just told me about this afternoon. Thank you, and those that helped you as well. I live at 2904 Plantation Road. We have 3 homes there that are on the golf course on the 8th hole. We've appropriated a lot of money for this golf course. We are irate homeowners because the grass is about this high, it stays that way. We have a prolific amount of mosquitoes that we'd be glad to share with y'all, one and all. And it's a nesting place, I'm sure, for snakes and rats and anything else that wants to live there. And I understand from another board member yesterday that there's another homeowner that's having a lot of problems with drainage. Their house evidently is a pond with all the water that's backed up there. There has been a lot of money appropriated for this golf course. I don't use the swimming pool, nor do I golf. But at the same time, I'm a homeowner that plays in the yard a lot. They call me the flower child, which I take it where it's fine, it's mine. But I don't take away from the privilege of you golfers that use the golf course. Have respect for us homeowners that don't play golf. We expect the golf course to be kept up, just like they expect us to keep our homes up. If I let my neighbors let their grass get that high, we wouldn't find any happiness. And they've taken my happiness away more than one time with me being a happy gardener. I expect you to reciprocate, pick up the ball, and take care of that golf course. There's been a lot of money appropriated for it. All you got to do is all the dirt you've got piled all over this place, bring it up to speed, and take care of it. It's reprehensible. It's intolerable. And it's compromising my health and my neighbors. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that it's prolific with weeds, whereby that I have to keep St. Augustine in my yard. My neighbors do as well. And on any given day, the people that I pay every month to come in and fight weeds don't know the names of the ones that are off the wall that the golf course is prolific with. Just, I ask in all fairness, hear our voices. Maintain all of the golf course, not just the fairs, then the greens. And maybe I never show my face that often, but when I do, I expect somebody to listen. Come forward and take care of your job. Be nice. Do what you're hired to do. I don't go along with this $300
Thank you, ma'am.
either.
3 minutes is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next to speak is Diane Malone.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Diane Malone, and I'm with the Garden Patio. And my husband and I have been here since 2008, and we moved here because we like the convenience of it, not for the golf course. We don't play golf, okay? We love the tour of the neighborhood and just the convenience of the location of it. But ever since we moved in here, every year, our HOA fees have increased, okay? And talking about this assessment, okay, in 2017 and 2018, we were assessed an extra $150. And I specifically asked, after that meeting where that was approved, would our fees go back down? And I was told, yes, they would. But they did not. They stayed level and without ever a vote being placed on it by a resident, as far as I know. We were never contacted about a vote on that. And to be honest, someone in our HOA sent an anonymous letter out to the residents. Otherwise, we would have never known about this. Our HOA president did follow up with an email. But when I got that letter, I thought, you know, if I don't know about it, how many people out here do not know about this? And it's coming up for a vote within 1 week. And you may know me, I'm the sign lady. I was down by the front, and I know some of you didn't like it. And I was not there to protest, I was there to inform. Because there needs to be accountability, transparency, honesty, and within this board. And I'm telling you, I'm very disappointed. And I'm just going to share my personal story. My husband and I were watching the news, and we found out, yay, we're getting an increase on Social Security, okay, next year. And we were kind of excited about that, thinking, you know, this is going to be nice. If this assessment for what we're going to have to pay is implemented, you all, Cypresswood, is getting 66% of that increase back, okay? Now, if you can live with that, that's on you. And I'm going to say to every HOA president that is sitting here tonight representing your neighborhood, if you have not contacted every single one of your residents to ask them how they want you to vote tonight, shame on you, okay? Shame on you, because you are playing with their wallets, their livelihoods. You would not believe the number of people that said, I had no idea this was going down. I said, well, it is, and you need to be informed, and please show up to this meeting. And I just encourage you, presidents, you're playing with people's wallets, okay? Now, we do not mind. My husband and I, we've talked about this. We are part of this community, and we want to see it, you know, to be well taken care of. But these loans, $1 million after $1 million after $1 million, okay? We're tired of it, okay?
Tim Boone.
Take the microphone, man.
Tim Boone. I thought you heard me. I'm yelling.
I can't hear it. It's
Oh, they
delayed
got,
outside.
they
so
got
you
the
can't hear.
volume up.
Yeah, there's a delay.
On the mark, Tim, please, sir.
Okay. Okay, Tim Boone, Greenfield HOA. In 2017 and 2019, $1 million. Okay. In 2017 and 2019, $1 million was borrowed with part of the money going to pool resurfacing and roof repairs, money never used for repairs. In 2019, I sat on the RAC committee in favor of improvements to the recreation areas and for the community. Martha Palmer made a presentation how repairs needed for pool, tennis courts, roof on clubhouse, playgrounds, etc. Bob Shade said no, that was years down the road. They still made the presentation at Masters Association meetings with promise of no fees increase to get the loan voted for. When I brought out the presentation for the Masters Association meeting at a board members workshop, they couldn't remember saying that. I have witnesses of both being presented and saying they don't remember. Martha Palmer, Bill Shire are both on the RAC committee. They're both presidents. They both vote on this. In 2018, Martha Palmer was paid $5,302.07 for goods and services. Bill Shire was paid $2,349.68 for goods and services. That's called a conflict of interest. They have a vote on this. $900,000 was spent after COVID, with no money coming in, with the restaurant closed, with the golf course was shut down, and no money coming in. They spent the money on the golf course and then expect us to pay their bills. Bob Shade received a $150,000 personal loan from the residents reserves, and he could literally possibly use the money from this increase to pay that money back. So basically we're using our money to pay ourselves back. Showing need for money and using it for something else, that's misrepresentation of funds. Spending money that you cannot pay back, mishandling of funds. Telling people either pay up or you'll shut it down or sell your house and get out, that's extortion. Thank you.
John Tasson, please, sir.
No, he's gonna wait till the.
We're gonna wait.
Uh,
Art Walton, please. Art Walton.
Okay. Yeah, we know.
That's okay. I feel delayed all the time. So were my glasses delayed, you know. Yeah, no, well, I'd like to do that. Would you close the door back there, please? Thank you. Thank you. love these masks. You just can't, you don't have to.
Hold it close.
Yeah. Hold it close. Where'd she go?
How many more on the list?
There you are. Hold it close.
Hey, I'm Art Walton. I live over in 699 Augusta, and I think this increase is a joke. Is that okay?
Yes.
HOA. Oh, I'm sorry. But anyways, yes, we should, you can hear it out there?
Shut the door off.
No, you don't need to shut the door.
Because the way,
It's very
Oh, it's,
hard to
okay.
hear.
Well, I'm over here, there's many reasons why I'm here. I signed up tonight. One of them is the board meeting here that nobody wants to come to until something like this happens. Every month, we should have something like this. And the board members that don't want to be here after an hour, leave. We don't need you here. This is an association. We need everybody to sit here and discuss what goes on. And you guys should not be here telling us what you should be doing and voting. This is a community. This is not a, oh, jeez, get going here. So anyways, one thing here also is our president had the paving contractor come in. And for the COVID, $129,000, maybe it's off a little bit, but I went and I worked for an asphalt company, and they only took 2 bids. And I tried to get Tucker Paving in here, but they didn't want to hear it. I went and I had everything all done, measured up and everything, and actually it came in about, I won't say exactly, around $8,000 less than they had here. And Tucker Paving would have taken care of the whole thing. Now over on our cul-de-sac, we have a pond now, an ocean, and a river that we didn't have before. And the same people keep coming back, and they get some deal with whatever the hell his name is here, the maintenance guy. Somebody has a kickback on something because they shouldn't be doing. If you do it once, why would you do it twice? Now, hopefully our president did not pay the $129,000 yet, which he said he didn't, to have them come back and redo the whole road. Well, to do the road the right way, you've got to mill it all the way down, come in here with the backhoe, excavator and everything, put some drainage in there like we have, and then come back and then repave it. Because it's just a mess. It's going into our driveway. My next door neighbor has a field there. It's full of water. Our water is, excuse me, behind us, it's a great big pond back there in the golf course. And plus the mowing of the golf course over to our house, we had somebody else come now, and the guy's only going to go to the golf course's land, and that's it. The golf course needs to mow everybody's private or property there stuff. And another thing here, quick message. I drove past the golf course here last week when they mowed it, and it looked like hell. It looked disgusting. And if you want to get somebody in here, I'm sorry. You're going to do, there's about 100 things you can do here to change things. First of all, the management needs to go. I'm sorry, but it's done. You lose money, you need to go. Thank you. Come on, everybody, get up here.
Hi, Lisa. This is Lisa Tomlin.
That's right. Howdy, Lisa Tomberlin. Where do I live? I forget where.
Over there.
Anywhere. Firestone Place. My issue with this whole situation are these committees. And the people on these committees. To me, I do not feel like HOA presidents should be on these committees. The votes are skewed. Oh, I gotta stand on the X, my bad. I do not feel that Bob Shade should be on any committees whatsoever. He is a contractor for Cypresswood. It is a huge conflict of interest. This is the man that has ran this course down from the get-go anyway. He is the reason why we're in this situation. He is the reason why membership is down the way it is. I have had many friends who are on different golf leagues who have refused to come here because of the way Bob Shade has treated them. The way he has already ran off the Chamber of Commerce, they refuse to come here again. Okay? These people do not need to be on this committee. This committee should be by residents. Residents are not on committees. I don't understand why. These meetings need to be held by us. We can have meetings other than in the middle of the afternoon. We do work for a living, but we can have these meetings other than the middle of the afternoon. This is our community. We should have a say in it, not just the HOA presidents, who, by the way, have been HOA presidents far too long. They're good old boys in the good old boys system, and it needs to stop. That's why these things are getting pushed through the way they are, and why we're not being told of all this money that's going through for things that aren't getting repaired or getting upgraded like we're told to. Why this other $1 million suddenly went through. While people are getting loans that we don't know about. While Mr. Shade is not paying his assessments on the golf course. What? We're paying our assessments. Our assessments are getting increased. Mr. Shade is not paying his assessments on the 100 lots out there. What? What? That's all I gotta say. Thank you very much for listening.
Yo, over here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Caroline? Please.
Hi, my name's Caroline. I live at 231 Greenfield Road. We moved in 2012 when our fees were $650 a year in 2012. They have gone up in small increments each year to the point that they are now at $1,100 for various reasons. For the first 4 years, it was so the roads could be repaved, but that hasn't happened. For the last 2 years, it was so the golf course could be improved. It's kind of happened. I don't really know what's happened. The only thing that has changed in the last 7 years is that the community has hired out its management to Garrison, which is also fruitless. The neighborhood and community are identical in almost every way as the day we moved in. Please don't spend any more fees on the HOAs. The letter we were sent doesn't even state what extra money it's for. All I get from the letter is that we are giving $750,000 of it to the Master Association, and they aren't responsible for anything. The golf course loans are a joke, as is the arrangement we have with Bob Shade. The golf course is profitable and has worth. The golf course is profitable and has worth. Why couldn't they secure a loan without the homeowners footing the bill for it? Also, the Homeowners Association is the worst thing about Cypresswood. It is intrusive and strict. I get incremental letters stating I've done something wrong without any proof, but have never been provided a list of rules and restrictions for our neighborhood, nor do I know where to locate such a thing. I think constantly charging residents more money for the same old neighborhood will be the downfall of the neighborhood. Look around at the homes for sale. They take forever to be purchased, and I guarantee you the HOA is the main reason. I hope you make the right decision. And also, my 7-year-old daughter has to ride her bicycle to the front of the neighborhood every morning by herself at 6:55 in the morning. There are no street lights. She has to ride with her bicycle lights on. I'm scared to death every morning that she's going to get hit. The people up front allow her to park her bike at the guard shack, which is awesome. They're very nice. They walk her across the street. They make sure she gets to, but I have to be at work at 7 o'clock, as does my husband and my daughter that's a senior in high school. So that, if we had a bike rack up there, that'd be great. If we had more street lights, that'd be great. If we had a play place for the kids, that'd be great. But, I can only do so much. Thank you.
Mr. Tyson, please.
No, he's not, he's gonna wait till.
He's not gonna do it today, okay.
Not till the board members.
All right, that's Robert Dodd. Next, please.
I'm gonna wait till the feedback and the delay stops. If you hold my time, please.
Let somebody else speak. She's waiting to set the timer.
Yeah, could you please reset the timer?
Robert, what's your right to
I'm Robert Dodd, and I'm with Palmacia. Okay, thank you. I've lived here in Cypresswood now for about 2.5 years. I've moved here for obvious reasons. It's a golf course community. I moved here and made a significant investment. Wanted to join the country club, but frankly, the age of the greens, the age of the bunkers, not because of Mr. Shade, but because they're old. And money had not been spent on those. And so frankly, Cypresswood did not and has not enjoyed a great reputation in the past for a quality of golf course. If you want people to come play golf, you gotta have a nice golf course. If you wanna have a nice golf course, you gotta spend money. That's just the facts. The houses that are here were built around the golf course. The sign says Cypresswood Golf and Country Club. So don't throw the golfers under the bus. The reality of it is the boards that represent this community made a strategic decision to take on a lease with John Wood, the developer. And frankly, there was a lot of challenges with the assets that came along with that lease. Now they decided, okay, we don't have the cash reserves to make the improvements that need to be made. They borrowed money to fix the irrigation. They spent quite a bit of money fixing this building, which is now in good shape. They borrowed another $1 million to put in new greens, new tees, new traps, and the agronomics necessary to get those greens to maturity. The reality of it is, now that we have a much better golf course, the opportunity for increased revenue is fairly significant. But we're dealing, I agree, with COVID. We're dealing with a little bit higher unemployment than we would like. And so there are challenges. The bottom line is the board has made the decision to sign the lease. The board made the decision to borrow the money. And if we don't continue to invest in the golf operations and the recreational operations, including the pool, which is in pathetic condition, and part of what we're trying to do is fix this pool in the next 6 months to a year and get that taken care of. Sir, please don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you. Okay? So the point is, the decisions have been made. You can choose to just not fund this, if that's what you want to do as a board, but the reality of it is we need to protect our investment. Otherwise, you're still going to be paying money on $2 million worth of debt, and the next thing you know, you're not going to have anything.
Okay, that concludes this part of the meeting. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at the budgets that were approved to move forward to tonight's meeting. The first budget, of course, is the electricity. Nice lights, right? The next budget that was approved is the cost of operating the office part and the CAM part and the insurance part. The next budget that was approved, if you go back one for me, please. No, go forward, thank you. This is the grounds. This is the pretty trees and the grass that you see coming in the median. Okay, this is the budget that was approved for the grounds. Maintenance and proposed budget. Next, please. This is the Drainage and Road Committee's budget for the coming year. Next, please. This is the budget that was approved for traffic control. I'm sorry. My wife brought me the glasses and I still can't see. Okay, next budget, please. This is the amenities funding requirements that we face for the next year for all of the amenities that you are provided as a country club member. Next, please. And then we wanted to secure opportunity to do the pool in the near term and not wait a year to do it. Then, we'll talk to you about that. Is that Tim?
No, not personally.
Okay, all right.
I'll speak to the text time if you want.
Anyway, that's all right. I have the mic now, sir.
Just keep going.
Okay, this is $120,000 we're proposing to go into the reserve fund so that we can do the pool in the near term. Then, this is the budget that we're proposing. Next. This is the aggregate of all the budgets to include the 120. The total is $1,061,000, which will cost each homeowner $1,000 a year. That is a $300 increase over what you paid this past year, $25 a month to do this.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Is there a motion to accept the assessment as stated there? We have a motion for Mr. Howell. Do we have a second to that motion? The motion is to accept the $1,000. Mr. Shires made such a motion. Do any board members have any comments or questions to the board? Mr. McCullough, please come up to the end. Address the board.
I would like for us to break down what the additional $300 goes for specifically. I mean, you broad brushed for the audience out here, they don't know what the $300 additional assessment is for and what it specifically funds.
Savannah, if you'll go back to road and drainage, keep going back. Right there. So part of the increase is right there. Sorry, I'm out of the X. Is the increase from 122.5 to 151.7 for the drainage committee. Go forward, I think, it's that way. Traffic control went up $2,000 a year. I think you've got to go, the amenities committee went from $318,300 to $494,500. That's, and you can go to the next one, and the reserves were added for 120.
Can we back up to the last one?
No, we're going to say we're going to answer the question from the board. Okay, so.
What are you there for? Can we back up to the 400 and something?
Mr. McCullough, how much more detail? This is your question, so come up here and ask the board what you need to ask. Because that's the increase. Those are the increases.
I think we need a little more detail on some of those. And we know the 120 for the pool. And we know traffic is more, but we haven't addressed specifically what that $2,000 for. That is for additional sheriff's patrols because we had the shenanigans going on this summer. Amenities, we might like to have a little bit more detail on why that went up. And road and drainage went up because price of asphalt, price of paving is going up. And to properly fund future needs of our highways, our roads, we need to increase that reserve funding a little bit more. Plus, I believe some of it may have to do with pump repairs. We now have a designated person operating a pump, but the recreational amenities committee specifically, I think, is what they're asking about.
Right, which we had at the recreation and budget proposal. That's what this reserve amount. Remember that we had that document up there that had each one of these reserve items Well, I understand that, but this is the board meeting now, Mr. McCullough, so we're speaking to the board right now and trying to answer your questions. So it was decided at that meeting that all the money would be, the $120,000 that was originally allocated over a period of time for the pool would be set up into a reserve account, that when bids are received, that money can be used by the board to fund the pool, if that's what the board decides. As we all know, the board makes decisions on all financial matters, and it's voted on at every meeting, as was for the recreational amenities budget or funding plan and the reserve. Any other questions from any board members?
Why isn't there a vote on the budget? I got a question. You stand up there and you say that you want $120,000 for the pool. Who's on board? Have you got?
Sir, you're out of order. You're out of order. You're out of order. This is the board meeting, the public commentary.
Do you have three estimates to show that it does in fact cost $120,000 for the pool?
Sir, please sit down. You're out of order.
You asked for our money, but you don't want to answer the question.
It's not, you're out of order, sir. Any other board members have any questions? Mrs. Rain, could you please come up? Ms. Rain, sorry. Very close.
I think it's very obvious that everybody's upset because they have not been notified or kept in the loop all of this time from the very beginning. And I think it is wrong that the presidents are on this board, and a lot of them, I've heard from people just walking around, that their presidents aren't listening to them and that they aren't informed, and I think that's part of the problem. Now, one of the questions I do have is, what are you going to do about the cart paths and how are you going to fix those? Wait, it seems to me you've done all of this work and now you're going to do the cart paths. You're going to bring in equipment running over everything. Why wasn't this scheduled right from the beginning and the first thing that should be done? I just feel that things have not been presented to the people properly, and sometimes it seems to me hasn't been managed properly.
Mr. Shire, do you want to answer the cart path question, or just because you were the one that headed that part up for the board? You can.
Thank you. My name's Bill Shira. I'm president of the Meadows Homeowners Association. With regard to the cart path project, the choice was made to do the cart path repairs late in the process because of all the equipment that was going out on the golf course. In addition to that, the ground saturation of all the rain that we had did not make it wise for us to get into that at that point. Currently, we have 18 locations that are being repaired. Contractors been on site for 4 days. They'll be pouring concrete when the time is right and the weather's right. And it will take them all of the remaining time up until probably November the 3rd or 4th to get that finished. Additionally, we're going to be paving the area between the driving range and the practice putting green. That is a different contractor and it's an entirely different process. Also, we hope that we're going to have funds available to finish hole number 7 by that contractor in a paving method.
Thank you. Any other board members which wish to speak? Mr. Patterson, did you want to speak at this point? I know you signed up in the wrong place.
Thank you. John Tasson from the Meadows. I can certainly see so many people here tonight that I've never seen at a meeting before. And the reason I can say that is since 2017, I haven't missed a CCA meeting. Not only that, I've only missed a couple of amenity committee meetings in those 3 years. Since the amenities committee was created, all of us could have attended or tried to. Nobody attended but me. I wasn't on the board. I was just an interested member of our community, finding out what was going on. In early 2017, I asked many co-residents to get involved in what we were getting into, which was to take over the golf course and all of the rest of the amenities. Could not get any cooperation at all. I spoke about the, I spoke about the amenities and what we were getting into, what I knew about it, and said that we should find out more information. However, the consensus of opinion, 12-2, was to take the lease. After we did that, a major decision was made. What we had to do then was find out what we had to do to keep the amenities going and make them usable. And we found out a lot of problems existed. So we had to borrow $1 million in order to get the golf course up to a grade that would be usable, we thought. And we did borrow that $1 million, and we spent most of it on the golf course. We spent some of it on this beautiful clubhouse we have now, however, and the grounds around the clubhouse. I said when we borrowed the $1 million to the people who would listen at the meeting, that it looked to me like we would probably have to borrow another $1 million. And everybody said, oh, that probably won't happen. And of course, we spent $1 million, and it did happen. We borrowed another $1 million, and it was $1 million that we needed to spend if we were going to have a golf course and have people really be able to come in and use it like golfers like to have. So we borrowed the second $1 million, and we've now refurbished the golf course with most of that money being spent. Still nobody's attending the meetings. Still nobody's paying any attention. I don't know where. I didn't shout when you were talking. I don't know where. When we borrowed when we borrowed the $2 million, I don't know where my fellow residents thought the bank was going to get the money from. You had to understand, if you thought about it at all, it was going to come from us. We were going to have to pay more money in order to pay that money back. Otherwise, if we don't pay it back, we might as well just let the investment go to pot, and the $2 million still has to be paid back. We're responsible for that. Management isn't going to take away the $2 million loan. Management is trying to get the $2 million paid back in a 15-year period of time. And all of the people who are angry now, if you really didn't want to have a golf course, you should have said so in 2017. And then you let rumors take over your thinking. For instance, as a good example, I've been appointed to be the point person on finding out what it would cost to do the swimming pool over. All of a sudden, without me saying a word, $120,000 comes up as the cost that we're spending on the pool. I can tell you right now, it is my anticipation, and it's a pretty good one, that we'll not spend more than $50,000 to do the pool totally over. But how many people use the pool is a good question. Probably half the people living here at one time or other have used that area of pool services. I monitored the pool for a year and a half, and I can tell you that many people use the pool. But at any rate, see, I'm telling you that it's not $120,000, and you're not listening. What, is $40,000 good? No, it's not good if you don't want to spend a penny on it. The pool has to be repaired, or it's going to have to be closed down eventually. So we do have to repair it, and we don't have to spend $120,000. It's not going to cost that. I'm not answering questions. It's when somebody wants to debate with me, I'd be happy to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Do any other board members wish to speak or make comments or ask questions? Martha?
There were some things that said that were simply incorrect. I don't know if you want those corrections made or not.
That's it. You're the president. It's your call.
Okay. My name's Martha Palmer. I'm president of Enclave. I'm Martha Palmer. I'm president of Enclave, and I took some notes. And we're talking about some very important numbers here, so we need to have our facts straight. And there were some things that were stated in the presentations here that were simply incorrect, and I want to get us all on the same page. The second lady who spoke said that the dues had always gone up. They may have in your HOA, I don't know, but for a fact, the CCA dues did not go up for 3 years in a row. They stayed the same. Tim, you made a couple of statements that are incorrect. Was I paid $5,000 something from the CCA? Yes, I was. That was a repayment. Believe it or not, you may not want to believe this, but in that room, there are receipts. And, that's not what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
No.
That's a conflict of interest. You got an income, you're asking me questions.
I'm talking to the board, so I do want to make this clear, okay? If some of you remember that there was a long weekend here when we had a gas leak, and I was called and I was over here about 5:30 in the morning. All during that week, it was determined that we had the fryers, the flat top. There were 3 large pieces of equipment that had problems, and they were having gas leaks. The gas company came out. The fire trucks were going to come. It was a big deal. To get all of that equipment replaced, which it had to be that week or we were going to close, okay? And I talked to Bob before doing this. We went through, I think it's TWR and the Central Restaurant Supply out of Lakeland. I purchased that stuff on my personal credit card. It came up to over $5,000. You have a $1,300 piece here, a $1,200 piece here. It comes up to about $5,000. I was repaid for that, okay? So I just want the board to be clear about that. The reason we did that was because, one, we had the gas leak. We would have had to shut the entire building down. We could not hook up the equipment we had. We had to re-hook it to new equipment. And some of you may remember that. Anyway, I just wanted to clear that up. Who votes? We are, the CCA, back up. In Florida, the 700 chapter of the statutes refer to organizations. Chapter 716 talks about HOAs. I'm president of an HOA. I have to pay attention to that. In that, we have sunshine laws. We have to have notices of meetings. We have a CAM, things like that. The CCA is not an HOA. And whoever sent out the letter in Villas on the Green, you have this information wrong. The CCA is a 720 organization. Other way around, sorry.
617.
Okay, 617 verse 720. We are not an HOA. We are a not-for-profit corporation. Legally, we don't have to be transparent at all. We are because we think it's in the best interest of the community. None of those rules apply that apply to HOAs. So I'm just letting you know that. Well, I would argue that everyone needs to read, as you know, all the articles that have been in the newsletter. Another thing that was stated was that we have 150 units for the golf course. It is 150 for assessment purposes, so I just want to be clear about that. And the pool, we did have a figure of 120. Mark Klutenauer gave us that figure about a year and a half ago when we first began to look at what it would cost to do the pool. What we are doing now, and the board may or may not be aware of this, is we are revisiting quotes for fencing, for striping, for the pool, for the dog park, all of those things. We're in the middle of getting new quotes for those, thinking that much like pavement, they might have gone up. As it turns out with the pool, we may be lucky. I was not really prepared to, hold on a minute. Hand me that thing.
Not yet.
Okay, I'll wait. We were not prepared to present the overall plan again, but we will. It has been presented since 17, 18, and 19. The committee is still following the plan the board approved then. It is a 5-year plan, and we are halfway through. Now, if the board changes its mind and wants to take it in a different direction, the committee will follow suit. But we have to be given the direction from the board. Until then, we are still following the 5-year plan that was brought up, discussed, passed in 17, and affirmed again in 18. So we're still following that plan.
Thank you. Any other board members wish to speak or comment? Mr. Carter? You need to come up here, Mr. Carter, please.
Real quick, I think we should put this to a vote, as far as individual-wise, each president, vice president. Sorry about that, guys. I was just thinking that maybe we should put this to a vote, as far as like the presidents, vice presidents, and people they're representing.
You want to call the question? Is that what you're asking?
It was more of a question. Yeah, it was more of a question. I will say, perspective.
Hold the mic closer to you.
I'm sorry, perspective. You know, when I first got started with the board, I got myself involved because I wanted to make sure nothing malicious was going on. At the time, one of my friends had been with a different HOA, and there was actually a situation where there was money being misappropriated, and that's not going on here.
Thank you.
I don't play golf either. I don't play golf, but I do realize that it adds value to my home. And it's also really true that this is the most people I've ever seen in this room. I don't know how you other presidents do it, I don't know how you other vice presidents do it, but we actually sent a letter to all of our residents that live in Greenfield Village. And when it comes to the board members, we're kind of a united neighborhood. So the decision that we make today is going to be something that we made together, like united with one voice, be that what it may. 2 cents.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other board members want to comment? Okay, come on up, please.
Okay, I was asked one little question, and that is, what are the consequences of not passing this assessment? And then, are there enough funds in reserve and at the current fee levels to postpone additional improvements, but to maintain accountability? or I'm not sure what the last word is.
Okay, so.
Accurate. Appropriate, okay.
What is?
It's appropriate.
Maintain appropriately?
Yeah, maintain the reserves appropriately.
We have enough money to maintain everything appropriately without increasing by $300,000. At least for one more year or a partial year. Is that even an option on the table at this point?
At this point, no. No board members made that has made that. There's a motion and a second on the floor, and that's when you do. Is there? That has not been talked about at any of the workshops or any of the meetings, and I've attended all of them. So that is not that would have to be done at a subsequent time if that was the case.
Hey, Bob, do you have an answer to that? I mean, like, if we didn't do this
You have to come up again. Sorry, I know, but you have to. They have to be able to see your YouTube land.
Sorry about mine.
You got it.
All right, Bob.
Okay.
Bob, if we don't do this increase, I mean, what happens after tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like, because that's been a huge discussion in my community, where people are saying, well, what's the hurry? What's the push? You know, if we do nothing, and we just keep the $2 million, what happens tomorrow? I mean, is it just gonna take a little bit longer? I mean, that's the question, that's been asked to me so many times.
All right, board members, who wants to answer that one? 'Cause it's a loaded one. Yeah, I mean, you've got the funding requirements that were put on the, if you go back one, I mean, obviously the amenities the funding requirements is there. The 318,000, 182,000 of it comes right off the top for debt service. When you take away the property and liability insurance and the property taxes, you're not left with enough money to service all of the amenities.
Have you put anything on for bid, Bob?
So the consequence is that the facilities will not be maintained to the standard to which we tried to get them to. That would be the answer. Now, if this measure would not happen to pass tonight, then the board would have to come back and have a workshop and go through a process of determining what the next step would be. That's the process. But we do have a deadline because we do have individual HOAs that have to do their budgets. That is coming, that is looming very quickly. The first assessment for 2021 is due January 1st. So the individual HOAs have to have their budget in place to be able to send out their invoices to their members. So we do there's a time element. So, any other questions? Mr.
Until you guys can come up with some more reasonable numbers.
Well, I wasn't gonna say anything tonight if I could get away with it. I'm Mike Howell, president of the HOA in Oak Grove. Oak Grove, I've been on this board now for 5 years. Been on the RAC committee for 2.5. I've been on the TAC committee for 5 years. And I can tell you, back in 2017, when this issue first came to the board, I was one of 2 no votes. But as a responsible individual and as a member of this board of directors, in my own mind, once the measure passed, the question for me as a leader in this community is what can I do then to work with the board of directors to make what the board of directors decided we should do, make it work. The fight about whether we would do the lease and take over the club and the golf course and all the amenities have been fought. I lost the vote. Now I want to be part of making Cypresswood a success. There's been a lot of inaccurate information posted on that Facebook, Cypresswood Uncensored. I haven't read any of it. I don't do Facebook, so I come to all the meetings. I have a lot of participation. The average RAC committee meeting runs 2.5 to 3.5 hours. The Treasurer's Advisory Committee meetings run about 2.5 hours on average. And I said this at the last meeting, if you added up all the man hours in these committees for us to come to this point, it's well over 1,500 hours of volunteer time. Another thing that everybody needs to understand, and I'm talking primarily to my fellow board members, I'm your neighbor, and you're my neighbor. And everybody out there in the audience is my neighbor. Somebody on my board said to me today that the president, this is a democracy. That was the first comment. And that the president should vote after polling the community. And I said to my wife later, it seems like a lot of people that I hear from have forgotten our civics lessons back in high school and college about how this country's run. We are not a democracy. We are a representative democracy. We elect our representatives to make the best decisions in our behalf that they're capable of making. And that's what these committees have done, and that's what this board's trying to do. So we've looked at the books. Somebody said something about an audit. If we did a full audit of this association, the cost of that somewhere around $75,000, $80,000. But when we made the loan from the bank, an auditing firm did a type of audit of the books of Cypresswood and found everything to be in order and for us to qualify for that loan. So we need to remember that this community was built around this golf course. The only subdivision in here that I'm aware of that isn't built around that, the golf course is my own. We were the last one built, and there's some being built in Palmacia, but that's also on the golf course. We are not. I don't play golf. I've said it before. I don't use a swimming pool. I've said it before. I don't play tennis, but that's not relevant. I live in a golf and country club, and I love it here. When I came into this place and I saw it, even though I didn't use these amenities, I was really happy and pleased that they were here. And I don't want them to go away. So I'm doing and have done for 5 years now, volunteered hundreds and hundreds of hours of my time, not only in these board meetings and in the committee meetings, but in my own HOA meetings, and keeping my HOA informed as best I can. But every president sitting here knows we post, every time there's a HOA board meeting, there's a sign posted in your subdivision. No, it's not. There it is. So we posted at our last board meeting. We had 14 people there out of 75. At the meeting before that, we had 9. At our annual meeting, our average attendance out of 75 homes is under about 22 out of 75. So when my wife and I are walking in the evening and people want to stop me on the street and talk about HOA business, unless, this is what my wife said to me today, because the weather's getting cool again, now we're going to be able to walk. From now on, your response is to be, if they want to talk about HOA business, they all have your phone number, they all have your email address, you post all the meetings, and they can talk to you by email, by text, or they can come to the meeting. So to my fellow presidents, I just want to say to all of you, I know, because I fight the fight myself, raising taxes is a difficult decision for anybody that's in politics or serves on these boards. But it's part of the responsibility that we take. When you become a president of any HOA in here, that's That's just part of what you did. The government of Cypresswood is run just like the government of the city of Winter Haven or the Polk County Commission. So when you, as you know, the city is divided into districts and the county is divided into districts. And we elect representatives from those different districts. And that forms a city commission or that forms a county commission. And then we depend on those people to make the best decisions that they can based on the needs of the community as a whole, not just for District 1 or District 2. You know what I'm saying? So when you are president and you're on this board of directors, your concern is not only some of the feelings of your own HOA members, but generally speaking, your greatest responsibility is for the overall welfare of this community as a golf and country club. And what's facing the board of directors, and all of you, I know most of you, because you've only got one new one in here. So I would just ask you to consider the larger responsibility. There are some issues that different ones of us have that we can address after the first of the year, but our primary need right now is what's up on that board. And I can tell you, if we voted this down and the board decided that we would take, and we can we have designated reserves for the pump fund, we have designated reserves for repaving the boulevard, that amount to a lot of money. Those reserve funds have been built up over many years. They didn't just happen in 2 or 3 years. So when we come now to this year, we're 3.5 years into this, 2.5 years into this process, we realize that if we don't build reserves for what we know we're facing 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, we're going to, none of us want to see a $2,000 or $3,000 special assessment in the mailbox. I certainly don't. And I certainly don't want us to even think about going out and borrowing another $1 million because the current assessment wouldn't pay the debt service on those 3 loans. It's better for us to pay as we go. And in spite of all the loud opposition I'm hearing in this room tonight, I can tell you that I've had many more residents contact me and say, once they understood the numbers, because a lot of that Facebook's inaccurate. So when you look at what your current assessment is, one of my residents called me, y'all going to raise your assessment by $1,000. It's on Facebook. So I said, well, what's our current assessment? $970. I said, okay, so we're not raising Oak Grove's HOA assessment, so we're still at $970, right? Yep. So if we raise the assessment by $300 annually from the Master Association, what's 300 and 970? What's 1,270? I said, well then, if this passes tonight, that's what your new assessment's going. Oh, I can pay that. And I've heard it over and over and over and over. So I would just ask you presidents to consider the fact that we are responsible for the long-term health and welfare of this community and ask you to vote yes.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other board members, comments, questions? Mr. Purnell, are you a board member of, are you a president or a vice president? Then you have to, Jennifer, you gotta be a president or a vice president, sir. At this point, this is a board meeting. This is a board meeting.
This is a brief change of subject. What is the name of your HOA? What is it? Okay, it's Burksdale, that area. Who's the representative here from the Burksdale area? All right. Just to let you know, we all, as presidents, follow the rules on our meetings. We post them. We have people, we invite people. You do not. The state requires it. You will do it from now on, or you will answer to the state.
Anybody, any other comments from the president? You have a call for the motion. We'll do a roll call for. Ready to call the roll for a vote. We are voting for the 2021 assessment to be $1,000 per homer from the Cypresswood Community Association.
Under the state sunshine law, I'm letting you know that Tim Boone is trying to record this, so for posterity and all that good stuff. It is allowed, but we need to let everybody know. Hope your arm doesn't get too tired. Good, all right. Club patio.
No.
Cypress Pond.
The residents of Cypress Pond vote no.
Eagle Pond.
Yes.
Speak up, we can't hear you.
Enclave.
Yes.
Enclave votes yes. Fairway patio.
No.
Garden patio.
No.
Golf villas.
No.
Greenfield Village.
United, no.
Meadows.
Yes.
Oak Grove.
Yes.
Palmacia.
Yes.
Plantations.
Yes.
Sand Hill Lane.
Yes.
Villas on the Green.
No.
It is a tie.
And the measure fails. Next slide, please, Savannah. The Treasurer's Advisory Committee, Mr. Tucker, your committee report, please.
No, it failed.
It's a tie.
No, that's it.
Yeah, I know.
Please announce that
I know that.
again, so outside knows what's going on.
The vote was 7-7. The assessment is not agreed to. Mr. Tucker, committee report for the Treasurer's Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Bob. This is the report on the balance sheet dated September 30th, 2020. Hey, if you get, let me help you with that. I'll speak up. That's my problem. This is the report on the balance sheet dated September 30th, 2020. Operating cash, 45.2. Reserve cash, 575. That's 575.3. General reserve, 149.3. Operating cash again, 45.2. The important number there is 194.5, which is available to use for most purposes, okay? But it goes away fast. Listen to this. Income statement on the budget except for drainage. And due to the cost of a repair earlier this year, the net expenses are $75,000. Net expenses are $75,400 over budget. That is the reason and the importance of reserve, ladies and gentlemen. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Next slide, please, Savannah. Landscape Committee, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Bob. Just a couple of quick things to report. If you've noticed the front entrance, it's changed considerably. 542 along the fence is now a construction area. So we have, they can't hear back here.
Yeah, that's why I need help to close.
It's now declared a construction area. So what we have to contend with in landscape is we can no longer access it with the mowers, and we cannot maintain the front area along there. We are going to do everything we can to keep the image up as best as possible. It's just that we have just realized we have limited access. The project manager stopped last week and says, this is now ours, so we cannot have the mowers and the people out there. And that construction area extends up to the signs as you see coming into Cypresswood. To just be patient for the next 2 years as we try and get all of this straightened out and 542 project is completed. The fence area along the front, we don't know what's going to happen to that yet because we haven't seen what the final sidewalks, the railings, everything's going to look along there. So we don't know yet how that's going to turn out. 2 years from now, we have to look at that as to how we want to have the fence around the front. And until we have better information from the final construction, we don't know yet. So I just would ask everybody to just be patient with that. The median area that we had the accident in a month ago, we now have approval for replacement of the trees and the plants, and that is being covered by the insurance of the person who caused the accident. The street light that's there is going to be handled by Duke Energy. I don't know when they're going to do it. They're doing that. Excuse me. They're doing that on their own. We want, and we, as part of that planting along there in that median strip, and along with the front entrance on the fence at the front entrance and down 542, we are going to try and trim that and get it ready for the golf outing coming up on the 7th, so that we have good presentation as best as we can get in there to make it look good. So we're going to have the plantings in the median. We're going to have the fence trimmed as best as possible for that. We're also trimming and getting ready for the clubhouse. We're going to get that ready for the opening of the course. There's another area I need to talk about, and that is as you come to the four-way stop where the sign is that points down to the clubhouse and the restaurant, you have that open area on the southwest side of the street. There is a big oak tree that's back down there just before you get to the condos that are back in there. And we have a few residents who feel that they do not need to put the trash or lawn clippings in the front of their house. They feel that that common area is best for them to do, so they don't have it in front of their house. If you noticed last week, there was a box spring, a mattress, a desk, and a chair that was left under there. And I would just ask the HOA presidents who are in that area surrounding just to remind your residents there that the county will pick up trash. They will pick up the yard waste, that they put it in front of their house, not in a common area like that.
Just to let you know, we're addressing that with each household, at least the bill is on the green.
May I ask a favor? Being hearing impaired, I need to see what you're saying.
And she has to come up here. Fred, Jeanette, Mrs. Rain, stop. Mrs. Rain.
Thank you. It cost us $100 to get that removed. So I want you to know that anytime somebody gets a little lazy and decides they want to do it that way, it costs the community money. And it comes out of the landscape budget. And I do my best to try and keep it under the budget numbers that are there. Same thing with Winter Haven, because most of Cypresswood is handled by unincorporated Polk County. They will pick up in front of the residents. Same thing with Winter Haven, but as soon as you move it into the common area, they'll drive right by it and look at it and keep right on going. So, any questions? Yes.
Fred, not only on the common areas, but they will pick up on a vacant lot either.
They will what?
They will not pick up on a vacant lot. So if
No,
somebody
yeah, it has to be a
vacant lot
residence.
next to them
Yes.
And push the material there, they will not pick it up.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah. So, just like everybody else, put the stuff out front of the house. Encourage them to do that. It just takes time and money for us to do that. Okay, thanks, Bob. That's it.
Any other questions for landscape? Mrs. Hallis, do you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Can you please?
The fact
come up to the front, please. So you two, and so Fred can hear you as well, because he's hearing impaired. Please.
It's just with regards to the fence outside. Once all of the construction site's over and done with, is it not Port County's responsibility, because they're doing the whole work on the whole stretch of road, to pay for the replacement if we do need to move the fence back? And if not, why not?
The fence is not going to be moved under the current plan. It is not part of the property that they have purchased to do their roadway. So it would be the community's responsibility to decide to do what they want to do with that fence.
But why would we need to replace the fence if it's private property and it has to stay there? That's what I can't understand.
It's our private property, it belongs to the community association. No, we wouldn't necessarily have to. That would be a decision for the board to make in future years, whether they want to change the fence.
So if they damage parts of the fence, are they not liable to fix it?
Yes, they would fix the fence if they damage during construction. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so why is it in the budget for future?
It's done as a reserve number to repair it or replace it or to do something to be financially prudent going forward.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Good question, thank you.
Good question. All right, nothing else. Next slide, please. Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Traffic control Rick is not here. I think we can dispense with that. Road and drainage, Mr. Shire.
Thank you. Road and drainage. Number one, no events in the past month. Number two, the Peace Creek Canal, which runs south along the east side of our property, the flow rate of that canal was extremely slow over the probably the past 2 months, and it was staged extremely high. Bartow, the Peace River, which that feeds into down in Bartow, went into flood stage probably about 2 months ago, and even hit heights that were last recorded in 1948. The reason I bring this up, a tremendous amount of water has fallen on Central Florida, even though our local Winter Haven reports and the Lakeland reports don't show that. Our own golf course does, because there's areas that are so wet they can't even get equipment into them to mow it. It is now beginning to recede. The flow rate of the canal is extremely high, and we've seen the east-west canal come down. That's the one that runs through the golf course. So just an update on that. Next, later in this year, we'll be on our pump replacement project, which will occur on hole number 15 on the east side of the property. Mark and I visited, we were out looking for different style pumps and visited the Lake Placid area, and at that point in time discovered a new resource for this. Mark's currently working on the engineering for this, but the money to fund this has been set up in the pump reserve that we established 8 years ago, anticipating that someday we'd have to replace these 50-year-old pumps. And that's all I have. If any of the presidents have any issues that you need to bring to me, bring them to me after we're finished with the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Shire. Next slide, please, Savannah. Amenities Committee. Martha, please. Next one, Savannah, I believe.
Okay, this is the October request. Okay, this is the October request for funds. It comes to a total of $37,300. You can see how it is broken. I'll move out of the way. It is broken down for repairs, utilities, insurance, agronomics, trimming. We do need to do some repainting and touch-ups in the clubhouse before our grand opening, and I don't know what you boys do in the men's bathroom, but it needs to be repainted entirely. So we do have a $1,500 touch-up paint there. That comes to a total for $37,300, and that is our request for this month.
Do I hear a motion from the president, to accept that motion, or to make that motion, Ms. Goodrich? Do we have a second? Mr. Shire? All those in favor? Thank you. On an additional note to the amenities, I want to, I guess I should get in the X too, thank Dee Ferguson, Rick McCall and his wife, and all the rest of the volunteers who helped paint the pool buildings, and the front part of the wall, and the back wall is about to be done. Mr. McCall, I'm sorry you had work so strenuously that you've separated some rib muscle, but it will build back and you'll be stronger. But thank you all for your volunteerism. Next slide. Is there any other business by the board members to bring? Ms. Palmer.
I don't know if the board needs to cease this meeting and break into a workshop, or if we need to plan a workshop. The board has a fiduciary responsibility to pass a budget, and HOAs need that number so we can do our budgets. My HOA has our budget workshop scheduled for this Thursday, coming Thursday. So we need a number from the CCA, and I don't know how we want to manage that at this point. Fiduciarily, we are currently paying $700 per unit this year, which turns out to, I don't have my number in front of me, around $53 a house. The proposed, which failed, would have been, again, I don't have my number, approximately $83 per home. But at some point, we need to plan now to pass budget.
Okay, thank you. We'll obviously schedule one of those workshops really quick. Any other? Yes, sir.
I would make a motion that we lay aside the adjournment and that we call for a board workshop within 48 hours.
Okay, do we have a second to that? Mr. Howell has made a motion. Come on up and you can make a motion. Do it, put on the camera.
We're in trouble. We don't have a budget. No HOA in here has a budget by what we just did. We absolutely cannot function financially and meet our responsibilities at the current assessment. So I'm making a motion that we lay aside the adjournment and we call for a board workshop within 48 hours. The presidents to meet back in here and thrash out a budget that we can bring back before the board for approval.
Yeah, you can certainly do it that way.
Yes, we do not have to adjourn.
Is it open?
All meetings and workshops are open to all residents.
We'll be here.
They're posted. Okay, do we have Mr. Howell's made a motion. Do we have a second to that motion?
I have a question first.
Okay, the motion hasn't been seconded.
We're going to have that meeting now, Mike?
No.
No, oh, we're gonna determine when we're gonna have it.
Yeah, within the next 48 hours.
All right, I'll second that.
Second that. Do we have any discussion from the board regarding that motion?
Bob, I have a question.
Okay.
The original TAC recommendation, what?
Yeah, come on up. Come on up.
The original TAC recommendation,
What TAC is?
Treasurer's Advisory Committee, was $200, and then we added on $100 to try to do the pool and reserve for the pool. Is there an appetite, or is there an opportunity to settle on a 2 now so we can move forward and get all the budgets done?
Okay, that's your question. That's your question. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
What's the motion?
The motion is to call to set aside the adjournment and have a workshop within the next 48 hours. Okay. Right? So that we've had, it's all, I didn't hear it. So let's do that again. So we have, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed to that? Okay, the motion, the adjournment is set aside. The president will call the workshop. Everybody have a great night.